What perfect timing. I promise I'm not timing till the end of the music, I swear. But anyway, right. We're just about ready to get into round two. I'll give the players the go in a second. But yeah, thanks everyone for joining us in chat, and for those of you watching the stream. Kind of just a chill tournament with some people from my local game store. I should be streaming some Paper Magic. That's not what I'm doing. Some Paper Riftbound with them on Friday. So we thought we'd get some Spiritforged games in before we get there. But thank you again, Stuart and Counterfeit for joining me. It's lovely to have your guidance through these games. I feel like I'm learning a lot. Counterfeit, I know you said you're learning today. Like, how do you feel from that first series? What's your takeaway?
I mean, I was saying to Stuart, I'm so glad it was Leona in that first game, because like Leona's a deck I have played and really wasn't that different from the previous set. I'm glad you're here, Stuart, with your Aurelia knowledge, because I think once we get into these later games, because Stress, you're saying you're trying to find some of the more unusual stuff, so I'm gonna be, I guess, either lost or learning a lot, or both, in the games yet to come.
Well, let's get into game, and I can tell you that this is another champion that Stuart has played a little bit of.
Oh boy.
We are getting a
Ruh-roh.
Sivir game for our second, which I think has been really interesting. I'll be interested to know, because I didn't ask the players what version of each deck they're playing. I have their chosen champions listed. Oh, wait, I typed in the wrong place. Let me let them know.
There are Sivir Aurora decks.
Yes,
Stuart,
that's
so
what I
you
was
might be
going to
seeing
say. It could be Aurora, but it could be mid-range. There's two different schools of thought.
I think it's mid-range. I think you can already tell from the battlefield, right? Like, that's the thing when you're playing against like a Misfortune or a Sivir. Like, you know already from the battlefield, from the first battlefield chosen, what you're kind of coming up against. And you see Zorn Warrens in the first game, and you already know yourself that yeah, this is going to be a very discard-heavy deck with units like Ezreal and Cold Shot, and we are just playing for Rosses. And yeah, there's an Ezreal already coming off the back as well. But coming up against Yasuo, Yasuo is going to be very similar to Irelia, where it's a deck that just loves to move around a lot. I don't think it has really the same tools as Irelia. Like, you can't really ready and move around as much. I think Yasuo has kind of the same purpose of like trying to move around and trying to get as many early points as possible.
I will give you a little bit of information. I think I'm remembering it correctly that Jelosloth, I think, either made finals or won our skirmish on Yasuo. So I'm interested to see if there are any changes to the decks. Because from the first time I played Jelosloth to the second time I played Jelosloth, I was like, wow, you have leveled up your ability to like understand how to move your units around the board. And I am like, I'm playing checkers, you're playing chess.
I want to give a little bit of credit to Tides, though, on the other side, because we're seeing something of the Miracle Draven recursion deck on the Sivir side of things, where we've got Fizz, we've got the Rights as well. We've got a lot of wood to the ground stuff, which we can play again and again and again and get crazy value out of.
And the funny story is actually Sivir was the first deck to play this style with Last Rights and with Rosses and Ezreal, and we've only just come into the deck recently with Draven as well, and players have realized like, oh, we can actually play the Sivir version in Draven, and we can just keep on playing cards and discarding cards and playing Roster as well. So it was, I wouldn't really call it, I guess, the original, but quote unquote original deck, even though
original
the decks
flavor.
are not really ads. Yeah, original flavor, I guess you could say, yeah, where the Sivira's just goal is to discard as many cards as possible with Roster. But yeah, as you mentioned, kind of, we've been seeing a lot in Draven as well, and especially when you have a Roster in hand early on, there's going to be so much discarding happening. Oh, and Ezra also helps with that as well.
Yeah, we've already seen one Ezreal. Now we got another one. Yeah, exactly. I'm like, the perfect, one of my favorite cards to set. In fact, basically my favorite cards in the game are on screen right now. In that, like, Mind Splitter, love that card. Ezreal, love that card. Fizz, love that card. Cold Shot, love that card. Like, can you guess what color I like playing at this point? Like,
what a surprise! I wonder.
My favorite is Mind Splittering Stuart, and he has a handful of like full bombs, like full gas, and he's like, it's one good card. I'm like, you've got 8 good cards in hand.
you just take my Aurora away, and I'm just like, well.
Yeah, there's that.
What do I do?
I mean, I suppose at least in this matchup, because Tides is kind of playing with a secondary hand that is the graveyard, there's a little bit less ambiguity, I suppose, about what Tides has got available. But so far, it's been working relatively well. Again, it's all low to the ground stuff where, particularly in turns to come, we can be playing a couple of cards per turn, getting fizz out, replaying cards, and just becoming a grand old nuisance.
I mean, double Zorn Warriors is also going to help out the Sivir a lot as well, like being able to discard and draw all the time. Actually, going to bring out Accelerated, the champion unit is going to get +2 as well, because when you recycle 2 or more runes that turn, then the Sivir gets +2. So again, going to be able to discard, draw, and our goal right now is just to build towards Rasa. We know Rasa is cost 10 runes, but for every card in your discard, it goes down by 1. So your goal is to try and get 10 cards into your discard to try and basically pay Rasa for free.
Which I think is a card that at the beginning of Origins, people were like, Rasa's not so good. But then as people played more games, I think you just got to that point of like, wow, I get to 10 cards in my graveyard pretty easily anyway, like without a lot of discards. And then the decks that can, like using Zorn Warrens, you're just like, oh, okay, actually this is a lot more consistent as like a top end unit than people gave it credit for.
Well, particularly like when you're in a situation like this where you've got scrap heaps which you're very happy to discard, just toss around the place. I really like what we're seeing from Tides. I mean, at this point, Jealous Sloth, it's got a good hand, but in terms of the board control, Tides is looking amazing, even if they've had to burn a lot of their runes early.
Yeah, you look at what do you do here? Do you Mind Splitter, but you're doing one thing for your turn if you Mind Splitter, right? Like it doesn't leave you a lot of versatility coming into like your opponent's next turn where they're holding 2 battlefields.
Looks like it might be the play though. 1 gold, 1 purple. Yep, just gonna Mind Splitter.
Do you have to take Rasa here?
Yeah, I was thinking it's like I think Rasa is kind of one of your only options, but the problem is you can also like Last Rites is also pretty annoying. I can't remember how the interaction works with Last Rites and Rasa. I think if you Last Rites and if you hold or conquer, then you can when you conquer or hold, you may play a unit from your trash, you still pay its cost. But because you're playing Rasa, depending on how many units you actually how many cards are in your trash, you only have to pay for, or in your discard, sorry, you only have to pay for that. Which is kind of crazy. So actually, yeah, the Yasuo player decided to get rid of the Lost Rights instead of Rasa because he knows that if he gets rid of that Rasa, it's coming back anyway with Lost Rights. So I think the correct play overall, but I mean, it's still very difficult to be in this position, as you mentioned, Counterfeit earlier, that, the Sivir is just kind of running away with this lead early on.
I mean, at least Mind Splitter is big enough to take individual battlefields. We don't, I mean, in terms of what we've got going on with this deck, we've got, the Fight or Flight are being used to keep the Ezreal out of trouble. I mean, Tides is very far ahead, but I'm kind of curious to see how this, given it's a mostly low to the ground deck with the exception of Rasa, I mean, Rasa's still smaller than Mind Splitter, ultimately, so I don't know quite how Tides will navigate this from here on forwards.
Looks like the plan for now is just hunker down with Sona, which, I mean, that is a way of generating kind of your way through the game, because obviously you untap. This one's the one where you untap at the end, right? Or have I got the wrong one?
Yeah, 4. Yeah, you untap 4 runes at the end of your turn. Which Yasuo should have 4 runes available if he remembers his trigger. Please, Yasuo. Please, I don't think he remembered his trigger. I don't mind
there we go.
There we go. Yeah, he remembered. But yeah, I don't mind the Sivir player moving the Ezreal back, because now he can try and conquer both battlefields, and with double scrap heap in hand, he can just he can double conquer this turn and try and use the double scrap heap to try and draw more cards. You can see he's already down to 18 cards left in his deck, so he's playing a lot of damn cards this turn. But I'm not too sure if he's going to have enough to actually take over this battlefield, though, because you've got Mind Splitter, you've got Sona. Of course, we know that there's a Fight or Flight hidden there as well.
I haven't seen anyone do it in a 1v1. I'm sure it will happen at some point, but it's also interesting that in Riftbound, milling
jeez.
yourself out. Yeah, wow. Talk about having options with punch first and then a bunch of other tricks and ways to draw more.
Yeah.
Milling yourself out doesn't lose you the game. It will give a point
Yes.
over to your opponent, but it's totally not a problem to just draw through your entire deck as quick as you can.
Yeah, and I mean, we've got an incredible hand at the moment. I look over on Jealous side, and that hand is very anemic by comparison. I wonder if Tides actually might be up for just saying, you know what? I've got such ridiculous levels of card advantage, and I've now got two Rastas.
Two Rastas
I
for
might
free.
just be able to overrun your strongest point as much as you've been trying to stack it.
Yeah, the play here might just be to stack up your base and just go in the next turn, because I think it's too risky to go in this turn with 4 runes up. You have the Ezreal, you have the Sea Monkey and the Sivir in your base, and you can double punch first to try and break through it, but that is a lot of runes that you have to spend. So I kind of like the play. You're on 6 points at the moment, so you can win next turn as well. Getting to that 6-point threshold is so important in Riftbound, because you know that if you just stack up your base, you can conquer both battlefields the next turn and try and go for the win. So I think it's a very smart play here from the Sivir player, just to stack up his base, double Rosses in the base as well, which basically cost him nothing. It means it's very, very scary, but Flash is actually going to be used to move the Stalacor and the Sona back to try and take over the Ezreal, yeah.
And I was going to say that
I like this.
For new players, just a quick thing for new players or players that aren't familiar, like the points difference is a resource as well. It doesn't matter whether you win a game 8 points to 7 or 8 points to 0. Like getting to 8 in a regular game is just the only thing you got to do. So as you said, like hold back, play for next turn. But interesting to see Jealous Loth. I mean, Counterfeit, you're saying you like this play with flashing back to base and then trying to contest the second battlefield.
Well, it helps break the pattern which we saw emerging there, which is just, Tides has got everything that you need to be able to just instantly run over the point. It's actually going to give up on that one. I think just hoping, I think pretty confident in just saying they're going to make both battlefields on the next turn, just because we've got the double, we've got the double buff. We've got 1 million units as well. I don't think there's any way Jealous Loth comes back in game one.
We're stepping, though, to the point where sequencing matters on the next turn. Yes, there's a lot of units for Tides, but considering as you go forward, a lot of your units will exhaust. You have to be able to get through things like there's a Rebuke here, there's a Fight or Flight, which is going to come out for free. You've got to contest both battlefields. Like, there are enough combat tricks if the attacker allocation is incorrect. And getting to untap as well means 8 runes and 5 cards in hand is a lot of options for a Yasuo to have.
And I think you have to be really careful here about what you hard bargain as well, because I think this hard bargain can be an absolute game changer. Starting off by just moving one Rasa in, I don't mind this. You see the discipline being played, but again, it's kind of the situation of, do you hard bargain this? Do you try and force him to use 2 more mana for this? But no, it's just going to let the discipline resolve in the end. So
and the draw into a stack deck, which, is good for finding more answers. Wow, I'm going to commit twice.
Wow.
That's bold.
I mean, we will say that having 2 punch firsts in hand means that combat tricks, you're quite happy with I'll pay 2 and give 10. Obviously, you have to recycle.
We can draw this in contrast to what we saw in the previous game, where the old standard for a combat trick was +2, across here. The fact we've now got a +5 available for 1 energy. I mean, sure, we've got 2 runes knocked out for us because of it, but
Sivir doesn't care so much.
Crazy.
Sivir's like, you had gold from other turns.
Tonk is so huge. But now he can just double. Now he's gonna double hard bargain though. He's gonna play hard bargain and double it, and he can't play it.
Yeah, but then that does soak up quite a lot of to double hard bargain. You're using 4. So now I guess you have to.
I think you have enough might in the base anyway.
But Defy does catch both, because even if you repeat it, it catches both, and now you end up in a situation where you don't win that combat. Sona now heals back up to 8. So you have to go in again. That is the end of that set of combat tricks, though. But
you do still have quite a lot of might. You got 6 from Sivir, you got 3 from Sea Monkey, you got another 3 from Ezreal, another 3 from another Ezreal. Yeah, I'm just gonna be moving here as well. You can't play any more cards now. You have nothing more, and I'm not too sure if this might is enough, because if you fight or flight the Rasa back, you've got 6, 9, 12 to 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Might not be enough, actually. I don't think this is enough. Because you're gonna play the fight or flight now.
With a punch first, is it enough?
Oh yes, he does still have another punch first.
So
Yes, that should be enough.
6. Yeah, I think it probably is just enough, but that's exactly like the sequencing discussion, right? If you're not sending everything here and you don't have the rune up for punch first, this goes very differently.
Stellarcorn, Stellarcorn is 3, so it's currently 12 at the moment for the Yasuo. And then the punch first is gonna come through.
And Tides realizes they should be on 7 already.
Yeah, it should be on 7, and then he'll be on 8 as well. Yep. GG's for game 1.
Ooh.
The amount
I take your point though, Stress. Like that, I think I was really ready to call that one done earlier than I should have, because geez, Jealous Lost did put up a proper fight right to the end.
Right, let's get us into game 2, and I'm guessing players will sideboard. It'll be interesting to see what they bring in for this matchup. I don't actually know what's in
I think you're just seeing like how strong purple is in general and how much card draw you're able to get from Ezreal, and also like the double Rasas as well. But like I said, I really like the way that Tides played, where he was like, okay, I'm at 6 points, I'm just going to move everything into base and just hope that I have enough combat power. The previous turn there was 2 times that game that he actually decided to fight or flight his own unit instead of fight or flying the opposing unit as well. That's also probably trying to play around not so fast as well, because obviously if you fight or flight like the Mind Splitter from the previous turn before the last turn, if it gets not so fast, then you're kind of negating that and it's kind of useless. So again, more playing around the Conquers than the Holds, I think was absolutely great. Oh, we got Minefield as well. Oh, baby.
Yeah. It's the milling battlefield.
Oh, this might break my overlay when I click this, but let's see. Hey, it actually worked. It worked. It's okay.
Yeah, it's not bad.
When you conquer here, put the top 2 cards of your main deck into your trash. We just talked about, like, you already get Rasa quickly enough. Now imagine if you're getting it 2 cards quicker every time you conquer. That is...
But also drawing Rasa in your first hand as well.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Having a Rasa in your opening hand as well is actually really good, because, and an Ezreal as well, because sometimes you might get a little bit unlucky and you might Mind Splitter a Rasa. But then if you have the lost rights, then it's not too bad as well. But yeah, being able to have a Rasa and an Ezreal in your hand, and Ezreal you can play turn 1 as well. Be interested to see here what he actually discards with the Ezreal, because the problem with like discarding Treasure Hunter is that you're not going to have another unit, but you might be able to draw another unit. But Punch First and Fight or Flight seems like 2 really good cards that you want to keep.
It is Rasa. Interesting.
Wow. Okay.
Oof.
Wow.
So he's playing around lost rights then. He's playing around the equipped, I reckon. He's going to try and hope that he gets the equipped, and then he can bring the Rasa in later on.
And I guess the point there is that this Rasa isn't playable yet for a while anyway. So you're like, I will see another 10 cards, basically, and I'm going to gamble the next one's there, or I'll see a last rights, as you said. Like, something will activate my Rasa from the graveyard before I really care about it.
Yeah, we got Fizzes by the dozen. And it's actually some pretty decent cards to play with them as well. We got the Punch First in hand, the Fight or Flight as well. Just, we'll have so many cheap options that we don't even have to use at this point. I suppose the only bad news is there's not really anything for Fizz to get, but because we're so early on.
Yeah, sometimes you kind of have to play like a naked Fizz and not really get enough from it. I'd be interested if he decides to do that, or maybe he just decides to play the treasure to try and, you know, just get down another unit.
It's base skin Fizz.
So I wonder if he's playing. He could confront into treasure as well.
Ooh,
oh no, he's just bringing out the Sivir. Okay, that'd be. Oh yeah, he's just bringing out the Sivir. So doing that instead. That's also another play that I forgot about. But yeah, it's not too bad.
I think you're right, though. We'll be seeing that play sooner or later. So there's a Fight or Flight being used to set up on the Dreaming Tree. I mean, again, Tide's up 1 game here. Really good setup. Stellarcorn from Jealous Lost will at least keep the cards ahead, and we can see in hand a good amount of combat tricks to work with, and no mana free to be able to get the Punch First going.
Fight or Flight's back from the battlefield, as expected. Just kind of going tit for tat early on. But I think we've already kind of highlighted how once you get the engine another punch first. Once you get the engine running with the Sivir deck, it feels really oppressive the later you go. Whereas like I feel like when I've played against Yasuo, the mid-range, like the mid-game point where Yasuo is able to freely move between battlefields is harder to get to when you're dealing with this early game pressure from the Sivir as well. Maybe that's not quite the same, but it just feels like Yasuo might be a little too late in the game to be able to contend.
Well, I mean, I do want to point out just the situation Jealous Sloth managed to get into, taking control of Dreaming Tree, and we've now got 3 different fight or flights in hand to keep Jealous Sloth exactly where they want to be.
Yeah, it's kind of a rough spot actually, I think, for Tides, as to try and think about like what Jellistoff might have in hand with the 4 runes up, with the Sonar as well. We normally only really see Sonar in Ahri decks because Ahri is one of the strongest legends that you can try and hold because of the legend ability to give -1. And again, with having green as well, you have so many tools to try and buff up your units. But in a Yasuo deck, very interesting because you do get access to purple. Of course, we know how strong purple is with things like stack decks, with things like fight or flights as well, that you can play on your opposing turn. It looks like Tides has taken quite a while here to think about what he wants to do. Of course, he can go into the minefield, but he's going to discard the next 2 cards are in his hand, or is he going to try and potentially go for the combat trick? But we know with 2 fight or flights that 2 of them can be pushed back.
And that is one thing I was gonna say is discarding is one thing, but when you've already got 1 Rasa in the graveyard, now milling from the top of your deck without knowing what's there becomes a lot more tricky. Like you really don't want to see another Rasa. Like the worst 2 cards off the top now going into the graveyard would be like Rasa and Last Rites, because suddenly you've gone from having 3 options of Rasa plus your abilities, now you've lost half of your options to get your end game out. So it's definitely a rougher spot to consider going onto that minefield. Quite literally, it's a minefield. Thematically appropriate.
Minefield. Well, as well, like Tide's position is interesting because Jellicoth, we're assuming for in Tide's spot, the Jellicoth has got something to stop just a push onto the Dreaming Tree, and just taking that back over again. Like that's inevitable with 4 runes up. So, but beyond this point, you can just keep bouncing that Stellarcorn backwards and forwards and getting infinite card advantage. So I think you're kind of forced, as Tide seems to be here, to try and make some kind of play and at least draw some of the answers out from your opponent.
He's going to go for the punch first play, yeah. But we know that there's a fight or flight. Yep, going to just be used on the Sivir straight away. The only other play that I would just thinking about now, he could have used Fizz to get one of his fight or flights back to be able to use on Sonar, and then you can play your other fight or flight from your hand to move the Stellarcorn back as well to try and hold. But even then, like, you're not killing the units, you're just basically pushing them back into the base, and they can still push the next turn as well. But that's another play that you could have made with the Fizz, but now going to be going into the minefield. So if this does come through, you could, if you're Yasuo, just play fight or flight again if you want to. But no, the point comes on through, and then 2 pretty good cards to discard, to be fair. That's not a bad double discard.
They're not spells, though, which would have been nice.
But I guess compared to having a Rasa or a Last Rites, you're like, yeah, anything that is not those cards, you're like, yeah, get rid of it. I can
this has become a personality
with
test
that
for us. Like, if we're optimistic or pessimistic about the whole entire thing.
I am definitely optimistic about drawing and milling cards at all times.
I think Jello's in a really good spot in this game. Like
Janna? What the hell?
Oh, nice.
Janna. Okay, interesting.
Okay, let's bring up Janna
as well.
Janna's, wow, actually going to be moving it to his hand as well. Yeah, so Janna is reaction, and what happens is you can heal your units at your battlefield. So if they do take any damage, that you can react with Janna, and you can basically heal 8. I believe it's only 1 unit that you can heal at the battlefield, but still it's
heal your units there. So it's all units that are at that battlefield. The errata today added the phrase up to 1 enemy unit.
Yes.
So the reason for that is functionally you don't have to have enemy units at a battlefield in order to play the spell, whereas if that wasn't there, there's some wording issues. But yeah, the up to 1 is on enemies,
It's
and
on
it heals
enemy.
everything.
I couldn't remember if that was friendly or enemy. Yeah, that makes sense.
Like a super Shen.
Yeah,
I mean, Tides. Well, Tides has managed to get back into the game just because Jellicoth has been focusing more on getting their hand out more. So they've actually abandoned the Dreaming Tree, and are going to allow Tides to get some amount of, board presence out. As one of the phases gets tossed,
still not finding.
It still feels like a very even game.
Still not finding what he wants though from these draws. Like, I surely that is like what you're digging for at this point. Is like your Rasas, your ability to bring them back. But
last rights, yeah, 100%. That's exactly what he's digging for. I mean, that's always what you want to do. Is like that. It's kind of one of the main purposes and the main, kind of talking points of this deck is that you want to play towards your Rasas, towards your last rights. But a lot of players have been saying that this can be one of the most difficult decks to pilot because there are so many options, and sometimes you're strict to kind of one option and praying that you do hit the Rasa, you do hit the last rights, and how do you play around that as well? There's so many decisions you have to make in terms of what you need to discard at what time and what cards do you need to play. So there's a lot of thinking that goes behind this deck, and I think it's definitely one of the most difficult decks to play when it comes into when Spiritforged comes out.
I mean, with the position Ties in is now, Jellicoth has got answers to basically everything. Like we're seeing the reverse what we saw in the previous game, where while Tides is still building up for big swings in base, there's so many fight or flights. What? That's not allowed, surely, to recover all of your runes at the end of the turn. And the Devoted Fan as well, effectively another fight or flight, which you're playing face up in the battlefield. I think Jellicoth's got this one.
Now you untap 8. You feel amazing untapping your entire rune pool. Like right at the end of the turn, you're like, yeah, I used everything. Now I'm back. the pings. His opponent's like, how come you're getting 8? And it's just like, no, 2 Sonas. Yes, it works this way. Like,
yeah, it's pretty disgusting. Yeah, I mean, I don't think there's any way for the Sivir to come back now. Like you said, untapping 8 runes is just very, very rough. You can maybe rebuke something, you can try and confront this turn and maybe draw into another unit like a Rasa that can become ready this turn. Again, like as we mentioned, with discarding that Rasa early on, we knew that it was a tool later on into the game that could be definitely very helpful. Unfortunately, it wasn't. He is going to go for the confront play and hope that he draws into a Rasa. That means that Rasa will only cost 1. It will come in ready. No, just another Ezreal.
I mean, a readied Ezreal's not the end of the world.
I mean, you could Ezreal and then just discard your Traveling Merchant and try and go again. Like,
Gamba, keep going.
Yeah, always be drawing.
I mean, this is where we talked about, like, it's so hard to look right back to the beginning of the game, but we're looking at that initial discard, right, of, like, Rasa going to the bin early, assuming you're going to then hit one of your other 2 Rasas or your last rights. Unfortunately, now you're looking at that. Both of those both of those options are in the bottom half of the deck, which that's the unlucky side of playing a deck like this. Is you just cannot know exactly where it's coming. But for now, it's going to be rebuke away a Sona. I guess try and contest one battlefield, try and mill, because you do have Fizz. So if you mill off a last rights here as you go with a minefield, you still can get the Rasa onto the battlefield, and it will be ready this turn because of the confront. But Fight or Flight's going to say, nope, you don't win that. So now does Ezreal go? do you move in?
Everyone lines up.
I don't know what you do at this point. Like, there's just so many. Like, having 8 runes up at the end of the turn, and the most annoying thing as well is that he can just play so many different units.
Okay.
And now he's just going to flash back as well, which is going to allow him to draw another card. He actually draws both of them back. This is kind of what I was talking about in the previous series.
Because of the Dreaming Tree, it's three cards.
Oh yeah, it's 3. Oh boy. But yeah, this is kind of what I was talking about with Irelia, the previous game, is that but
there's no last rights. That's tragic. That's actually tragic. Minefield hits Rasa.
So actually, it would have been the play to play Ezreal first, because then he would have had Rasa.
Hindsight. Captain Hindsight over here. So, as a card game player for a long time, that's why I never, ever look at the top card of my deck. If I'm like, if I concede or whatever, I don't peek. Never peek.
Yeah, you don't. there's no good answer, is there? Either you're kind of sort of middling on it, you're like, okay, I wouldn't have drawn it, or you see what you wanted
Yep.
not to see and you feel really bad.
Never peek. Same with mulliganing, like in other games where it's slightly different. Like never do it, never peek, never second guess yourself. Be confident with your first choice.
Yeah, now what do you do? That's the thing now, I think, at this point, because you can't get the other battlefield. You draw into a whole load of nothing again, really. You can't take over that other battlefield. And it's just going to be both Stellar Cores moving in again. And then you draw another 2 cards because both the Stellar Corns and, as I was mentioned previously, it's kind of the difference in the Irelia deck as well. Is if you can get these Stellar Corns on the board early, and if you're able to allow them to keep moving around, then as you can see, the Yasuo has like nearly 10 cards in hand, and that will just go even further as this game goes on. But when you don't have these Stellar Corns early on, then your draw becomes a little bit more difficult.
Oh, that's an on the hunt.
On the hunt.
Let's see if I have that in my card viewer. Yeah, on the hunt. Ready your units. Nice and simple.
Okay.
I don't know how useful it's going to be here, though, unless, again, you get a Rasa. But we know that 2 Rasas are in the trash already, so...
it's like a
really
more
tough
expensive confront.
Yeah, that doesn't draw either. Because confront is just for the rest of the turn, right? So you're just like, you play whatever. I guess the other thing when I saw the card, I was like, but most of the time it has to be that you had the battlefields and then you're moving back to the base and then you're going for the second conquer, which
usually
is unless you're using 2 on the hunts, which is not the case in this game. It's not going to win you both.
Stuart, I want to kind of return to your point from before, though. Like with the kind of environment we're going into with set 2 is this game seems all kinds of done. That if you can maintain control of a battlefield with these Stellar Corns, you've just got an infinite draw technique. We just keep going backwards and forwards every turn, and you would never be outvalued ever.
And then Yasuo, you can even just keep playing 1 to move them again. Like you could just move them back and then move them back to the battlefield as well. So you're drawing 2 cards every turn for 1 energy, basically, at the end. And we do see the 3rd Rasa coming out for the Sivir, but yeah, I don't think this is going to be enough.
Fashionably
you do have
late.
on the hunt. But yeah.
Fashionably late to the party is this Rasa, unfortunately. A turn or 2 ago, maybe you would have more impact. It's not to say that there's no impact to have here. I mean, when you look at it, you got what? I suppose you can... Rasa... Fizz can get on the hunt as well, right? Fizz isn't limited by the number of power, is it? It's just energy lower than 3.
So
I guess technically, if you on the hunt, then Rasa, throw everything at 1 battlefield, like, is that even enough? Because Rasa has to come in untapped, right? So you can't, with 2 on the hunts, you can't conquer. Do you have to Fizz, confront?
Ride the wind, but I feel
ride the wind is something.
Do you grab confront with this?
It's either confront or it's maybe rebuke. Rebuke something as well. It might even be rebuke one of the Overzealous fans, to be fair, because I think that's the most annoying thing is you can't really play on the hunt now, because if you move everything back in, rebuke. I wouldn't be surprised if it's an Overzealous fan, to be fair, and you try and, it's going to be the Sona instead. But I think he has to move in with his units first to try and proc the Overzealous fan, or at least kill the Overzealous fan, so then you're able to try and move in with the Rasa on the hunt. Because if you Rasa on the hunt now and you move in, then the defend trigger is going to proc from Overzealous fan. The Overzealous fan is going to die, and then you're just going to move Rasa back. So on the hunt becomes useless.
Here's exactly what you're saying. Is Sivir moves in first, Overzealous fan pops. At this point, can you even contest the second battlefield? Is there any value in doing it?
You can just move 1 in just to kill the Overzealous fan, right?
And I guess
the Overzealous fan could be buffed as well, so it's a bit frustrating.
That's the problem. Is like I'm focusing so much on what Tides has in hand that I'm not even looking over at Jelloslot's hand, and then I'm just seeing pure gas for combat this turn.
Ride the wind. Sivir into the other battlefield looks like seems to be the play. Potentially.
Okay.
I did see him recycle a purple and tap 2. Yeah, I think he's going to ride the wind to Sivir over. Yeah. That's a 6.
Defy
no, he's actually going to ride the wind into there. Oh. Okay.
All right.
Well, that's not going to work either. Well, and now we are, yeah, we are pretty screwed.
That's the only Defy in hand. So now you've just got a bunch of combat tricks and a rebuke. I guess it's one combat trick, a rebuke,
Trying
and
to
a fight or
trade.
flight, right? So.
Oh,
You're gonna draw
like,
two. You're just gonna get all
with
the
8
options.
cards in hand. Like, how do you deal with this? I know you're forced to play your punch first, but then you still you don't know what else is in the other. We know that there's fight or flights. As you mentioned, got to get another 2 cards as well. And this has been a situation where very rarely a green like Yasuo or Aurelia draws more cards than the Sivir player. Like, this is a very rare scenario, I think, where this happens. And this is the scary thing for sure.
Ezreal's going in, is going to get thwonked. This is the closest I've seen someone get to milling out, but it won't be in time. Another couple of turns maybe, but I think at this point, two runes, now no runes. We're ending the game on no runes. This is pure Sivir, throw it all.
Points.
Like, thematically appropriate for a Sivir composition, trying to just throw everything at the wall and see what sticks. But
I mean, I think Tides has just been running out the clock on this one because it doesn't feel like, with the amount of resources in hand, the amount of runes up all the time, there was ever really a big window opportunity, or even a small window opportunity to really get him.
Delacorn MVP.
Yeah, and frustratingly, that Rasa being in the bin early, and then the second one coming from Minefield is just there just wasn't enough like power on the board for Tides to be able to play through what has been an oppressive mid game of just drawing every card you own and untapping all of your runes at the end of every turn.
Oh, there's oh my god, Janna as well.
Janna's like, nope.
Another move back. That's 3 times already that he's moved the unit back to the base. That is ridiculous. That is crazy. And now the problem is that Janna's on the board as well. So Janna's also going to give you plus, what is it? Janna plus 3 might or something with that. So yeah, how do you even take over that?
That's the funny thing. You don't.
And we're literally at a point where it's no runes, no cards in hand for Tides. So even in the best case scenario where you make it through this turn, your opponent untaps and holds, right? So Tides knows you're not actually able to do enough on that game, and that was an impressive turnaround. That was really interesting.
Yeah, we kind of saw the benefit of the Sonas, and like I said, I think Stellar Core was really the MVP, being able to draw more than the Sivir, which again kind of doesn't usually happen, to be honest with you, especially with things like Minefield, putting cards into your discard. You got things like Ezreal, which I think multiple Ezreals were played this game. Yes, I think there was a time that Yasuo had 2 or 3 Stellar Cores in the on the battlefield at the same time. Double flashes into drawing 3 cards with 2 moves from Stellar Core and Dreaming Tree as well. I mean, at that point, it just becomes very, very difficult, I think, to come back with so much combat power that Green has.
I'll be honest, when looking at the cards, there's a lot of flashy cards for Spiritforged. Stellarcorn was not what I was looking at initially, but now seeing it in play, I'm like, holy crap, that card is genuinely does work.
It's a win condition. Like for Jealosoth, like if you can't stop it from destroying every turn, you just lose. Like there's nothing. Even with all of the value that we saw Tides getting, it just didn't matter because, if you can't down pressure early, then you've got nothing. At least this time Tides has actually got something out on the field to fight, but the rest of the hand isn't amazing. Maybe Stack Deck will help fix it a little bit.
Yeah, I do want to talk about the cards in hand in a second. I just want to note that we have another new battlefield here, Ravenbloom's Conservatory. When you defend here, reveal the top card of your main deck. If it's a spell, put it in your hand. Otherwise, recycle it.
This one's interesting because it's not a hold. It reads like it's a hold effect, but it's not.
Yeah, it has to be when you defend. So you're assuming that people are going to come aggressively, which, I mean, the Sivir deck does do. So there probably will be that opportunity. But I wonder whether this is a bit of a win more card in the sense of, like, if you're already holding, if you're already defending, I guess you can draw into combat tricks, but it's hard to know.
I think you see this battlefield a lot when you're playing Lux or Victor, like these heavy spell decks. We do know that this Yasuo is running a lot of spells as well, so it could be pretty beneficial. But yeah, I think as you mentioned, I think when you're playing against purple decks and when you're playing against Draven a lot as well. I think this is where this battlefield really comes in handy because, as you mentioned, Stress, they want to play more aggressive. They want to try and battle you more and they want to conquer more rather than hold. And the early rebuke already onto the
That's
Sona
crazy.
But you have flash up.
pretty crazy.
You can defend against this,
Yeah.
right? Because flash will negate a rebuke. I
Yeah,
guess if you
Flash-
wanted to. Because
Flash
rebuke
a
reads
reaction.
at a battle. Oh yeah, sorry. Is it not a reaction? It feels
I don't
like it
know,
should
actually.
be.
No,
I
it
think
is
it's
a
not.
reaction. Yes, it is a reaction. No, it is. I think it's a
Ah,
reaction.
interesting. So I guess at that point, just saying fine, I actually would prefer to hold on to flash.
Yeah. I mean,
I
that
guess-
solar drop early was just devastating, especially looking at the stuff that's in hand, which is going to be, you've just got so many answers you can just bring up and keep hold of the fight as long as you want to.
I mean, I don't mind you keeping it as well because you can always play the Sona next turn, but also because he has 2 Stellarcorns in hand now as well. He did have one previously, but now he has 2 Stellarcorns in hand. Again, we can see kind of the same trick of drawing cards and using Flash to come on back as well. But now the Sivir has the tech in hand as well. We have the Confront and the Rasa, so this could be a play that we see later on. And already with 5 cards in a discard, we're already halfway to that point that we can play Rasa basically for free.
And even not just free, it's playable next turn. Not a great option for 5, but still, it's there. As if you really are looking at your hand, like what can I utilize? It's an option, but
Yeah, at least the treasure's coming untapped as next turn.
Mhm.
I guess we could confront and see what else we've got going with. Still, we've got the Sivir herself ready to go as well as the Stellarcon drops down. And that's Stuart, you mentioned before, that instant draw a card for basically nothing. And then put the fight or flight down there as well. So,
defense.
I mean, this is just the previous game is waiting to manifest in a few, like, maybe even next turn, it's going to start getting too far gone.
But the thing about this is, like, so if you do go in against that Stellarcorn, you're getting the reveal and the draw off defending, right? And then you can make your choice of if you flash, then you're going to draw a card. If you fight or flight, you're going to at least defend that combo and push them back for another turn. Like, it feels like there's a real heavy ability to just defend, play around avoiding combat, and draw I was going to say a shitload of cards. It's my stream. I can say whatever the hell I want. As I'm thinking I'm actually on a broadcast now, I can say whatever I want.
Do what you want.
Who's
That
going to
is
ban
under
me?
the
Me?
accepted units of measurement. Oh boy.
Okay, and Sivir.
All right, so that's Civiv.
accelerated.
So she's. I did want to something which I haven't really brought into the conversation yet as well is that we've got to remember we've got the Windswept Hillock in the game as well as a ganking avenue and the Sivir coming out quickly. So we've got the defense proc, which we'll see if that turns into anything. That was a Sona, so not a spell, but I don't even know if it actually matters.
Oh, there you go. Draw another card. Oh,
Yep,
good.
move it
I
back.
use a fight or flight to get a fight or flight. Not bad.
There's going to be a point now where the Yasuo is just going to draw so many cards again. Has to be a little bit careful of the points though, because it's
Yes.
falling a little bit behind on the points. And I think that's something that you can very easily get carried away with when you're playing like these Yasuo or Irelia, is that you're moving a lot and it's like, oh, this feels great. I'm moving back. I'm drawing cards. I keep moving and moving. But you have to be careful that your moving doesn't become too much, that you're not holding these battlefields and you're not using these combat tricks, things like discipline. But we know at the moment with Yasuo's hand that the only combat trick that he does have that can increase the might is something like discipline, which is, you want to do something else with it for sure.
Interesting taking a combat that you know is a losing fight. Oh, you're gonna give him the
Ooh.
prog. That's
Ride the wind.
at least a useful card for next turn, because now it means this Rasa is a whole lot more deadly, right? Because you can confront Rasa, play Ride the Wind either this turn or next turn. I feel like Tides probably has enough to contest both battlefields to go to 6 on their turn, and then that means you're basically, it's not quite via Ride the Wind on the following turn, but it's as difficult to deal with from this spot.
Oh, well, something, Stuart, which I really liked you pointing out before was the Tides felt like they had an opportunity to control the battlefields, but now losing out on both of them, the Sona coming back in again, meaning all these cards in hand are live. We've already seen how difficult it's proven for Tides to really get re-established if Jello Sloth can even make out of this turn without being fully pushed off.
And a rebuke again onto Sona.
And it's rebuke, confront into 2 free Rasses. Well, free recycling, but yeah.
Oh yes.
Yeah, you mentioned it. Like, I think Tides felt comfortable. I think from this position, I think definitely moving his Sivir back as well. He kind of understood that I already have 1 roster in hand with the confront, as Stress was saying before. Now with double roster in hand, as you mentioned, Stress, you can play confront now, which he's going to do, and then play double roster for double purple, and both of these are going to come in ready as well. And now he's going to be able to control both these battlefields pretty easily, even without. Even without some of the combat tricks as well, which is kind of there you go, kind of scary.
And the scariest part, as we were kind of saying, is this moves you up to 6, and you have to find multiple options to still fight 2 Rastas on the following turn.
Oh, I was gonna say the only bad idea would be moving both of these in at the same time, because if he like draws another fight or flight, then both of them just gets fight or flighted back. I would have liked him to go like 1 by 1 and move in. But yeah, it looks like he's going to use the flash to just move the Stellarcorn back to be able to draw a card again.
Still should have had the defense trigger first, though.
What?
To be...
Oh! Crown Guard. Nice.
Right, let's...
What's the first... Oh, Tiana.
Tiana's
I was going to say.
Crown Guard. While I'm in a battlefield, opponents cannot score points. I mean, that would do it next turn, but you've got to be able to hold that battlefield.
It does seem a bit of an ask.
Yeah.
Not expected to see that.
No.
She's crazy expensive as well. It doesn't. I mean, Jellicoe must know better than than something I do, but it seems like it's going to be quite hard to protect her in this deck, even if getting her out in the first place is possible.
Yeah. So Tiana's the only time that I've seen Tiana is actually in an Ornn deck, because Ornn is one of them units that becomes so beefy and has so much might that you can never really break the Ornn down. So it's very difficult to try and take down the likes of Tiana as well. But I mean, the problem with Tiana is that she can just get countered really easily by just spells like rebuke, fight or flights, things like that, which purple has, which is one of the reasons why we don't really get to see it too much. I
mean, this is going to have to be the moment the
White
White Flame
what
Protector.
The hell is what is this deck?
I like it.
Sona's going to give you the untap. You're protecting
that's
one battlefield, so now we're again in one of those situations where it's like you gotta sequence things correctly for the Rasas on the next turn, because there's at least enough to stop things. I'm looking at what options.
We're in a position now where Jello Sloth could play the Crown Guard out into a battlefield with Devoted Fan with Sona and actually have a legitimate chance of protecting her.
And this is actually one issue, though, is those Rasas are both at a battlefield. So you have to spend a turn moving them back, or you have to ride the wind, obviously. You're looking for potentially 2 if you can get Cold Shot, but those are not the 2 cards that you want to see in a Traveling Merchant. There's a Rebuke, somewhat more helpful, but because you can rebuke the Overzealous Fan. And then you get through... Do you have enough? I guess, yeah, you go in with both and then ride the wind.
Both of them ride the wind, yes. And then Sivir is +2 as well.
Oh,
but not so fast. I think it still might be at 6, 12, 15 to 9. 15 to 9, but then you Overzealous Fan the Rasa back, so it's actually... It's actually 9 to 7. But then you can Janna as well for +3. So actually, if he Janna, he can't Janna. He doesn't have the mana for Janna. He does have Fight or Flight as well, though.
No mana for Janna.
It's a phrase we're hearing a lot.
Fan first, which kind of ruins the play now, because now even if you roster, then one of them is just going to be Fight or Flight back, and then you lose the combat.
And this is the tricky part about having both Rasas on the battlefield. Oh, we're taking a step back. Okay.
Oh, is he going to decide not to defend with Overzealous Fan? I think they're taking it back, and he's decided not to proc the when I defend trigger.
Okay.
Wait. He just let them both die.
Just gonna let it both die.
He's gonna ride the wind, and he's gonna win. Yeah, now he's just gonna win. I guess he didn't see that coming.
It's got
It's a
the
fight or flight, right?
fight or flight.
You still get it
Oh, I guess you
because
fight or flight. Okay.
gonna
yeah.
reveal it because you do, as again new players, you do start a showdown even if there is no opposing unit. So that Ride the Wind is gonna happen.
Wait, so it gets ready though, doesn't it?
Yeah, it gets
Ah.
readied anyway. Yeah, it's already
Yeah,
ready. Even
okay,
if
so
the
then it
fight
can
or
go
flight
in
is ready
again.
and then push it in. Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly,
okay, true. A little confusing at the end of the round just for the order of things, but that does mean that Tides is going to win that 2-1. I will bring it back to our.
Gosh, that
faces.
happened rather abruptly at the end.
I know.
didn't it?
I was like ready to go down the rabbit hole of the movement, and then yeah, we just.
No, I'm kind of surprised that because he decided not to oversell his fan. He decided to trade instead. But if he oversell his fans, and if he plays the fight or flight, I still don't know if he has enough. But then again, yeah, like you said, you can just move in again with fight or flight anyway because the Ride the Wind just readies the unit as well as moves it. So pretty close in the end, to be fair. I think again we saw the Yasuo player drawing a lot of cards, but I think just fell a little bit too far behind in terms of points. We saw a lot of draws, but not really a lot of combat tricks this time around. There was only like one discipline in hand, and that was it. Like that was the only combat trick that he really had, and unfortunately, it wasn't enough.
I forgot it was a Yasuo deck. Honestly, I thought it was a Stellarcorn champion deck.
I mean, I would play that. Looking at how many cards it can draw, maybe I'm done with purple. Maybe of all of the good purple cards, maybe it's actually green that I want to play, and just draw a bunch of my cards that
But
way.
that's the thing is, I feel like purple's just so difficult to decide every time. You have so many decisions to make during a game of Riftbound. If you think of like Cold Shot, Stack Deck, Ezreal discard, Fizz coming back as well. You have like Rasas when you play them. I think there's so many decisions in that type of deck that it makes it so difficult to pilot. Definitely something I wouldn't recommend for like beginner players coming into the game. But I think if you're an expert at Riftbound, you're expert in card games, you kind of know what you need at a certain situation, then I think it's definitely a deck that you can pilot and just outplay your opponent every time.
And that's something to consider for those of you attending Bologna that have never done a tournament of that kind of length. That many decisions to make in that many rounds in the main event is fatigue central. So like if you're not used to playing stamina events, maybe come with something that has a little less brain fatigue for the day. I'm not playing the main event, so I don't need to care about that. I just get to noodle around on
We're
the
both
side.
event
Yeah,
enjoyers,
exactly.
you know?
I'm gonna be there 5 a.m. in line for the medal cards if I can get one, trying to hustle everybody off their prize tickets. We're
guys know
gonna.
what's up.
I know exactly. That's the point. There's no tournament going on. We're just trying to get medal cards. That's literally the entire point of going to Bologna. We're gonna head to break for a couple of minutes while I get us sorted for our last round. We'll take whichever the highest seeded round is for this, and see who comes out as the 3-0 player. And we'll be back in a couple of minutes.